Brazil is considered one of the most beautiful countries in the world. But everything has another country that is directly proportional to the good. While the homicide rate in Brazil has dropped significantly, which is a very good thing, another problem has arisen. Many women are dying as a result of domestic violence. Unfortunately, the statistics on such crimes are only increasing, as is clear from a report published in 2019 by the Brazilian Public Security Forum. But it's not just happening in one place. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women worldwide have experienced violence from their partner in their lifetime. Fortunately, most women have been able to cope with the abuse, but Tatiana Shpitzner wasn't so lucky. Tatiana Spitzner, 29, was a successful lawyer who lived in Guarapuava, with a population of nearly 183,000, located in the south of the state of Paraná in Brazil. She and her husband, Luiz Felipe Manvila, had been married for a little over 5 years. Luiz taught at a university and was an ardent advocate of a healthy lifestyle, engaging in various physical activities to which he placed great importance. Tatiana and Luiz met for the first time in 2013. The guy asked the beautiful Tatiana on a date in August of the same year. Then they met repeatedly and realized that they had developed serious feelings for each other and decided to take the next step in their relationship. On November 5, 2013, Luiz Felipe asked for Tatiana's hand in marriage and they got engaged. The couple got along great. Their engagement lasted a little over 2 weeks. On December 3, 2013, the two lovers got married and exchanged rings in Guarapuava. It was the happiest day of their lives. Luiz vowed to take care of his wife and provide for her for the rest of their lives. But as we all know, vows are sometimes unfortunately broken. It was Luiz Felipe's birthday when tragedy struck, a day that should have been filled with laughter and positive energy. Tatiana and Luiz got into a fight, and it started when Tatiana was a couple minutes late getting home. Her husband was waiting at this time, already dressed and nervous, as they were supposed to meet some friends at a local restaurant. Tatiana, on the other hand, had gone for a manicure, wanting to look dignified, and the visit to the salon took longer than expected. Luis's temper became apparent the moment Tatiana walked through the door. He began to reproach his wife that they were late because of her, although they should already be with friends at a meeting. Luis's acquaintances described him as a cultured and educated man, but apparently this did not correspond to reality. Unlike Tatiana, his wife, who had many friends and a large family, the Manville University professor was the complete opposite of her. No one in Guarapuava knew anything about his past life. All that was known was that Luiz had a brother and a sister. His father passed away in 2016 and his mother was a cancer patient. According to businessman Marcel Virtuoz, owner of a fitness club in Guarapuava, Luiz would go to the gym, work out, and leave without talking to anyone. He was truly passionate about physical growth, and according to the businessman, since the beginning of the year he was able to make visible progress by dedicating time to training. Police would later find a supply of anabolic steroids in the couple's apartment, and there was speculation that periodic outbursts of rage and aggression may have been a side effect of the illegal supplements Luiz was taking. Psychiatrist Adriano Siegel claims that uncontrolled steroid use can lead to mental disorders, irritability, and male health problems due to increased testosterone levels. Luiz found it hard to contain his anger, but that's no excuse for what was to come next. The couple eventually arrived at the restaurant where Tatiana's friends were waiting for them. Everyone began to congratulate Luiz on his birthday, and it seemed that he had already cooled down, and the dissatisfaction with his wife's tardiness was left behind. They would have a good time together, too. According to testimony from friends, Luiz and Tatiana had both been drinking well that night and were quite tipsy. Other testimony states that another fight broke out between the husband and wife because Tatiana discovered that her husband had been texting another woman on Instagram. Luiz excused himself, saying that he posted a story on Instagram that he was celebrating a birthday and then received messages from his friends congratulating him, including various women. One of Tatiana's closest friends, Juliana Santos, 35, has publicly stated that Luiz Felipe was jealous and sometimes resorted to physical violence in a showdown with Tatiana. Since Tatiana is very secretive about personal matters, she opened up to her friend only once, saying that her husband's jealousy was bothering her. Previously, Tatiana had managed to live with Luiz in Germany, where he was in graduate school, and it was at this time that the man's jealousy began to increase. It is not clear why he began to behave so possessively towards his wife, but one thing was clear: their relationship began to fall apart. There was alienation between them. Tatiana and her friend did not socialize much during this period, but upon returning to Brazil, their friendship resumed. Juliana told police that Tatiana, as she called her friend, called her in November to wish her a happy birthday and to arrange a meeting at a cafe for a cup of coffee. And at that meeting, her complaints about family life were more strident. Tatiana even talked about divorce, as she had become afraid of her husband. But the bureaucracy associated with divorce proceedings stopped Tatiana from such a decision for a while. On March 8th, the friends met again in a cafe, and Juliana realized that things were getting more serious. Tatiana opened up to her friend and told her that Luis Felipe treats her badly, humiliates her in the eyes of others, does everything to contradict her, even said that he hated her. Everyone interviewed in Guarapuava, and even including those who were not very close to Tatiana, said that she was a person without evil inside, trusted others and saw the good in everything. You could tell her the most unbelievable story and Tatiana would believe it. She was very trusting. Tatiana was fun, loved parties, trips with friends, enjoyed life and socializing so much that when it all happened, the people closest to her knew she couldn't take her own life. But what exactly happened between Tatiana and Luis? Let's get to the bottom of it. After a party that turned into an argument between husband and wife, they went to the Golden Gate building downtown where they had an apartment. Surveillance cameras in the neighborhood where the couple lived captured detailed accounts of what happened. It all started when the car in which Tatiana and Luis arrived pulls up to the building, and the cameras record the university professor punching his wife in the face several times before she even got out of the car. Tatiana tried to fight back, but the forces were unequal and her husband continued to strike, even after they got out of the car. The disgusting violence continued in the underground parking lot, with the man beating his wife without remorse, despite her attempts to defend herself. Tatiana tried to run away across the parking lot, but Luis chased after her, caught up with her and grabbed her, hitting her over and over again. The woman somehow managed to break free and run to the elevator. CCTV cameras recorded a desperate Tatiana fleeing and being chased by her husband again. The woman managed to enter the elevator first and press the button so that the door would close and she would be safe. Unfortunately for her, this did not happen. Luis Felipe managed to block the elevator door and rush inside, where Tatiana huddled in a corner, fearing for her life. After the doors closed, the elevator began to rise and it seemed that Tatiana's husband had calmed down, but that was until the doors opened again. Tatiana ran for the exit but was stopped halfway out. Her husband managed to grab the woman and pulled her inside, preventing her from escaping. Shocking footage showed the lengths Tatiana went to in order to escape, but the steroid-using strongman strength exceeded her capabilities. Luis grabbed Tatiana and threw her against the metal walls. She hit her head, causing her to fall to the floor. These were the last images found when the woman was still alive. Shortly after the elevator brutality, the couple walked out the door and into their apartment. It's not entirely clear what happened there afterward, but the result was horrific. One can only imagine the brutality that took place in the apartment behind closed doors for 15 minutes. Other surveillance footage, taken from a camera outside the building just outside the entrance, shows a body falling from above directly onto the sidewalk. Luis Felipe, not knowing what to do and fearing the consequences of his actions, leaves the apartment. He goes downstairs, exits the building, and then picks up his wife's body and carries it inside, hoping that no one saw this horrific scene. He was further seen carrying Tatiana's body into the elevator, lowering it to the floor, and then raising his hands in a tinny expression of remorse and shock. But all of this, of course, was done for the camera. After Luis arrives on his floor, he carries the body out of the elevator, then returns with a rag and wipes what looks like traces of blood from the floor wall. These scenes are even more shocking when you consider the ease and equanimity with which the aggressor goes about it all. Luis later tried to escape by going downstairs and taking his car from where everything happened, but was soon apprehended by the police. It turns out that several local residents called police to report seeing a man lifting a body off the sidewalk. One resident even described how the man was yelling, "My love," Wake up! Louis had traveled a long distance of 350 kilometers from his apartment complex and was only found because he crashed his car on the freeway. When asked why he ran away, the man said he was too anxious and scared, and the picture of his wife jumping from the balcony had been in his mind for a long time. According to the report, no chemicals were found in Tatiana's blood. There was no trace of adrenaline or cortisone present to indicate fear or awareness of falling to the ground. Experts say the young woman was already dead when she fell to the sidewalk. They also found a high blood alcohol content, which is normal considering the couple had returned home from a birthday party. The woman suffered multiple fractures to her body, consistent with a 40-foot fall onto a concrete pavement. Upon further investigation, a pair of handprints were found on the throat of the deceased Tatiana. The hyoid bone, located at the front of the neck, was broken. This injury is commonly associated with strangulation, further reinforcing the theory that Tatiana was already dead before she fell to the sidewalk. Criminal prosecutor Diane Rampesa issued the following statement. Our investigation proves that the victim was killed in the apartment by strangulation and the body was thrown from the apartment balcony. We believe that the defendant then took the elevator down to the first floor and retrieved Tatiana's body, bringing it back to the apartment via elevator. This heartbreaking story of the events that led to the woman's murder paints a vivid picture of the spousal abuse to which she was subjected. Close friends of Tatiana confirmed that she admitted that she was afraid of her husband, whom she accused of abusing her. They also confirmed that she wanted to divorce him. These allegations were seen in messages Tatiana sent to a friend months before her death. Louis' lawyer claimed that the couple had a happy relationship, although this was far from the case. Juliana's friend recalled that Tatiana had complained to her that she and Louis had not had intimacy in over a month. Then Tatiana told her correspondents that her husband had stopped noticing her in bed. When she tried to take the initiative, Louis pushed her away and said that she disgusted him. Such a relationship between husband and wife could not be called normal and happy. Other facts about the abuse will come to light after a thorough investigation. According to the testimony of friends, the husband called Tatiana derogatory nicknames such as albino dung because of the color of her skin. In addition, he could destroy Tatiana's clothes if he did not like them. His wife had to wear the things he approved of. Louis Philippe did not help Tatiana with any household chores, not even helping her carry heavy grocery bags. When the wife asked to hire someone to clean the house once a week, Louis said it was her responsibility to do the cleaning and denied her request. The husband also did not allow Tatiana to spend at her discretion the money she earned as an attorney. All purchases had to be coordinated with him, otherwise he could simply tear the clothes Tatiana had bought for herself. After this terrible crime, which took place in July 2018, Louis Philippe Manvilla was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In addition to the first conviction for the murder of his wife, Louis was convicted of procedural fraud, which increased his sentence by 1 year, 9 months, and 18 days. The trial lasted 7 days and the verdict was rendered by an all-male jury. During the trial, Louis Philippe even apologized to the victim's family, but continued to deny his guilt, saying that his wife jumped off the balcony on her own, even though all the evidence pointed to him. The lawyer who defended Louis said the decision was clearly contrary to the evidence in the case, and that the defense would appeal and seek a review of the jury's decision. Louis has since been held in Guarapuava Industrial Prison. Tatiana Spitzner's lawyer, Gustavo Scandari, said he considers this result a major milestone in the fight against misogyny, and the conviction is a satisfaction for the family and a clear message from Guarapuava society and all Brazilian citizens against all forms of gender-based violence and all forms of domestic violence. The jury understood that this was a conviction based on a large amount of evidence. The judiciary handed down a just sentence, and it will be enforced to increasingly encourage people to report violence against women. After Tatiana's horrific death, her sister Luana created an Instagram page called All for Tatiana. She created this profile to bring attention to femicide, a phenomenon that continues to grow in Brazil and around the world. The page created by Luana has gathered 60,000 followers who believe in ending violence against women. Luana wrote that we believe that any cause worth spreading awareness for should be talked about. So, in honor of Tatiana, we're revealing a few facts that shed light on how serious the situation is and some tips on how you can try to stop it. It should be noted that Tatiana talked to her friends about how her husband was treating her. They listened to her, but never really understood what was going on in her family. Tatiana's cry for help was ignored even by the people she was close to. Had they stood up to Louis Philippe and talked to more competent people, it is possible that Tatiana would be alive. Tatiana fought back, tried to save her life, but it wasn't enough. She needed help. And so, unfortunately, do many other women around the world. Thanks for watching. I recommend you to watch other true crime stories. Click right now and also subscribe to my channel. See you soon.